He thought firing her in front of everyone would prove a point. It did. Just not the one he expected. If you're ready to hear the whole story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as crazy as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let's get into it. Amira Blake showed up early every day. Not just because she was the CEO's executive assistant, but because she wanted things to run smoothly. Clean calendar, warm coffee, no surprises. The office overlooked downtown San Francisco. Bright windows, loud egos, and a boardroom that always felt colder than it should. She knew the company inside and out. Names, numbers, patterns. And she kept her voice low, her notes tight, her opinions to herself. On Thursday morning, something shifted. She handed Jason Vance his daily agenda. Board meeting's been moved to 10 a.m., she said. Investor call right after. He didn't look up. Why was it moved? The CFO had a time conflict. Jason scoffed. And you didn't push back? I spoke to. He raised a hand to cut her off. Doesn't matter. You messed up. She blinked. It's not a. He stood suddenly. Let's go. Meeting now. The boardroom was already half full. Amira took her usual seat at the edge, near the wall. Jason walked in, dropped his bag on the table, and said loudly, Before we begin, let's talk about failure. The room got quiet. Jason pointed toward Amira without looking at her. She let a key meeting get rescheduled without pushing back. We run a billion-dollar company, not a bake sale. A few chuckles, tight smiles. Amira sat still. Jason kept going. This happens again, she's gone. Actually, no, it won't happen again. He turned, looked her in the eye. You're done. Silence. Not even a chair squeaked. Amira slowly stood. Someone whispered her name, but she didn't stop. She walked out the same way she came in, steady, professional, calm. What Jason didn't see was the intern in the back. Phone out. Camera rolling. The clip was short. A CEO publicly firing his assistant. Her quiet face. The stunned room. It hit social media by lunchtime. This is how billion-dollar bros treat their staff? She handled that better than I ever could. Tell me she starts her own company and crushes him. By the end of the day, the video had over 600,000 views. Jason didn't care. She'll be fine, he told his team. People like that always land somewhere. Amira didn't post anything. She didn't comment, didn't complain. She went home, opened her laptop, and began reviewing the past 5 years of company files she'd quietly saved. Just in case. She didn't want revenge. Not yet. She just wanted the truth. Have you ever stayed quiet when someone tried to shame you in public, even though you knew they were wrong? Share your story below. Backhand index pointing down. Your silence didn't mean weakness. Amira didn't post on LinkedIn. She didn't update her job status. She didn't make a scene. She just disappeared. For the first 2 days, she stayed home. Not because she was broken, but because she wanted to think without noise. She read. She walked. She opened an old journal she hadn't touched in years. Page after page filled with ideas. Notes. Gaps she'd noticed in the tech world. Gaps no one else seemed to care about. By the end of the week, she had 3 spreadsheets and a pitch deck. Not because she was building something yet, but because she knew how to prepare. Meanwhile, Jason barely mentioned her. In meetings, he said, "We've cleaned house." At lunch, he joked, "My last assistant couldn't handle pressure." When a board member asked what happened, he just said, "It was time." But small things started to shift. The calendar wasn't right. The investor list she managed had gaps. A few minor meetings were missed. No disasters, just friction. Jason blamed the new assistant, but he never once admitted that Amira had been the one holding everything together. Back at her apartment, Amira took a call. An old friend from college. Tech investor. Quiet, smart, curious. "I saw the video," the friend said. "You good?" "I'm fine," Amira said. Pause. "What do you want to build?" Amira smiled. "I don't know yet, but I know what doesn't work." They talked for an hour. By the end of it, her friend said, "If you ever want to talk funding, Call me. Amira didn't promise anything. She just wrote his name in the corner of her notebook. She started attending meetups again. Small ones. Low-key. No one recognized her until someone did. "You're the assistant from the Vance clip, right?" "I was," she said. "But not anymore." She listened more than she spoke. She watched how deals were made, how people moved. She paid attention to which rooms had substance, and which ones just had noise. Jason launched a new product. Press. Hype. Headlines. But behind the scenes, delays piled up. Deadlines slipped. 2 engineers quit. The board didn't panic, not yet. But they noticed. Jason said it was market stress. But the problem wasn't outside. It was coming from inside, and he couldn't see it. Amira, meanwhile, kept moving quietly. No website. No name. Just clarity. She wasn't chasing a headline. She was building leverage. Amira rented a desk at a small co-working space on Mission Street. Nothing fancy. Just a desk, Wi-Fi, and a door that locked. She liked the hum of it. People building things, not pitching things. No buzzwords. Just work. She wasn't starting a company, not yet. She was offering insight. Her first client came from a coffee shop conversation. A founder overheard her explaining startup burn rates to someone else. He walked over. "You freelance?" "Sometimes," she said. They met the next day. She didn't promise magic. But in 2 weeks, she helped him cut costs by 15% and land a call with a major vendor. He paid her double what she quoted, then told 3 other founders. That's how it started. Word spread. Not fast, but strong. One founder said, "You see things other people miss." Amira replied, "I had to." Meanwhile, Jason's company was trying to land a new logistics contract with a national brand. The contract was big, nearly $200 million. Jason sent his team. Flashy deck. Full presentation. They expected an easy win. They didn't get it. The brand chose a smaller firm. No name recognition. Quiet operation. But smart, sharp, and clear. That firm had just brought on a consulting COO, Amira Blake. Jason didn't know yet, but he felt it. Another loss. Another missed deal. He blamed the sales team. Amira kept her name out of press. No titles. No bios. She didn't need public credit. She just needed movement. The small firm that hired her started growing fast. She didn't take equity. She took data, patterns, weaknesses in the way Jason's company pitched, where they overpromised, where they underdelivered. She knew his system because she helped build it. Now she was helping others beat it. Jason noticed a trend. Smaller players started outpacing him in contracts. They were leaner, sharper, more trusted. One investor asked, "You seeing what's happening in your space?" Jason brushed it off. "Just noise," he said. Amira didn't make noise. She made progress. Jason stood at the window of his office, watching the city move below him. His calendar had been full for weeks. Meetings, investor calls, media briefings. But something felt off. Another client had pulled out that morning. No warning. No negotiation. Just a short email. "We've decided to move in a different direction. Thanks." This one stung. It was a $90 million contract they'd been close to signing. Jason clenched his jaw. That made 3 deals lost in the last 6 weeks. All to companies he used to consider non-threats. At the next staff meeting, Jason slammed his palm on the table. "What's happening?" he asked. "We're losing ground." "Why?" The team shifted in their chairs. Project lead spoke up. "We're getting undercut by firms we've never heard of." "New talent," someone added. "They're fast. Focused." Jason frowned. "How are they getting in those rooms?" No one answered. One investor called privately. "You might want to review your client strategy," he said. Jason snapped. "I'm not being outworked." "Maybe not," the investor replied. "But someone's outsmarting you." Meanwhile, Amira sat in a smaller office across the city. Nothing fancy, just a whiteboard full of names and arrows. She wasn't building a company. Not yet. She was building a map. Who was moving where? who was watching, who was tired of Jason's voice in the room. Every call she made was quiet. Every meeting she took was calm. But the results were growing. One of her clients doubled their Q2 numbers. Another landed funding from a firm that had once ignored them. She never spoke Jason's name. She didn't need to. People knew. At one pitch event, an investor leaned in and said, "You're the one who used to work for Vance, right?" Amira paused, then said, "I used to. Now I work with people who listen." Back at Jason's office, morale dipped. Turnover ticked up. Another senior engineer gave notice. "Looking for better culture," he said. Jason scoffed. "It's always something." But deep down, something started to gnaw at him. The same feeling he had the day he fired Amira. Like he'd just lost something big, but hadn't realized it yet. The West Coast Tech Summit was packed. Founders, funders, and press filled every seat. One of the closing panels was titled, "Smarter Growth: How Quiet Leadership Wins Big." When Amira walked onto the stage, a few heads turned. Some recognized her from the viral clip. Most had only heard rumors. But when she sat down and the moderator introduced her, the room went still. "Amira Blake," the moderator said, "former executive assistant, current advisor to 5 of the fastest-growing tech firms in the Bay Area." There was a pause. A few people leaned forward. "And the architect behind 3 of the deals your inbox has been watching." Jason's head of strategy texted him mid-panel, "You seeing this? It's her." Amira didn't tell a revenge story. She told a systems story. She spoke about patterns, gaps, how good talent is often hidden behind bad leadership. She didn't name Jason once. But when she said, "I once got fired in a room full of people because I rescheduled a meeting," everyone in the audience knew. She paused. Let the silence stretch. "I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just walked out. And I watched." Another pause. "And then I built." By the time she left the stage, her name was trending on tech blogs. The woman behind the quiet takeover. Amira Blake just rewrote the playbook. Turns out the assistant was the smartest person in the room. Jason got a call from a reporter. "Do you want to comment on Amira Blake's panel?" He hung up, then looked out his office window. Same view, different world. The next day, Amira was featured on the homepage of a major business outlet. Not for what she survived, but for what she built after. If someone underestimated you in front of everyone, would you tell them it was you when you won? Or stay silent and let the results speak? Drop your answer below, backhand index pointing down. We want to hear your story. Jason sat in his office, staring at the screen. Another press hit. Another article quoting Amira, not about him but about what mattered. Culture, strategy, trust. She was being asked to consult for companies 3 times the size of his. His phone buzzed. It was a board member. "Jason," the voice said, "we need to talk about direction." He sighed. "We're fine. One press cycle doesn't shake us." The voice paused. "It's not one cycle. It's a pattern." That afternoon, 2 investors withdrew funding. One of them wrote, "We believe leadership must be forward-thinking. This isn't personal." But it felt personal. Jason called a meeting with his executive team. Only half showed up. 2 had already given notice. 1 didn't respond at all. He looked around the table and realized this wasn't a team anymore. It was leftovers. "Is anyone going to help me fix this?" he asked. Silence. Then someone finally said, "You didn't listen when it was easier to fix." He didn't answer, just sat back. Elsewhere, Amira was in a quiet meeting room, helping a startup prep for a global pitch. They won the contract. She didn't stay for the celebration. She just smiled and left. Later that night, she saw the article headline, "Jason Vance expected to step down amid ongoing losses." She didn't flinch. She didn't smile either. It wasn't a win. It was just what happens when ego leads too long. Jason came home to a quiet condo. No messages, no buzz, just one article trending everywhere. The woman he fired now leads where he once stood. He turned off his phone. 6 months later, Amira stood in front of a small brick building in Oakland. It wasn't fancy. No big signs or logos. Just a single name above the door, Room 1. Inside, the floors were polished concrete. Long tables, open laptops, whiteboards filled with ideas. This was Amira's next move. Not a startup. Not a company. A space. Room 1 was for women in tech who had been pushed out, talked over, or overlooked. Amira didn't make them pitch for a seat. She just said, "Show me what you care about." And they did. Some built apps. Some wrote code. Some sat for hours just thinking for the first time in peace. Amira didn't push. She gave time. The media tried to label it. "Is this the revenge center?" one reporter asked. Amira smiled. "No, this is the rebuild." She took no salary. She used her consulting income to fund it. Her name wasn't on the front door, but people knew. Jason's name hadn't been in the news for weeks. He'd stepped down. Quietly. No statement. No second act, at least not yet. One of the women at Room 1 was a former engineer from Jason's company. She hadn't even known Amira back then. But she said, "You made space that no one else did." Amira replied, "Someone made space for me once. I'm just keeping it going." At night, she walked through the center alone, checked laptops, restocked snacks, cleaned up stray wires. She didn't need applause. She needed people to feel safe and seen. One day, a new email came through. A major firm wanted Amira to speak on a national stage. She said yes, but on one condition. "I don't want to be the only woman on that panel. Fix that first." They fixed it. The room was quiet. Long table, 10 chairs, soft lighting, no cameras. It was one of those invite-only investment groups, where major tech voices made quiet decisions that shaped the next big thing. Amira sat near the end. She wasn't the loudest in the room, but everyone waited when she spoke. Jason had applied for a seat, not as a CEO, not as a leader, just as an independent investor. The application sat in a folder on the table. Clean, professional, strategic. He'd written a note on the last page, looking to return to the work, grateful for the chance. Amira hadn't asked to review it, but the folder was passed around. One by one, it landed in front of her last. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. She just opened it, looked over the first few lines, then closed it again. The lead moderator asked, "Any objections to this applicant?" Silence. Then Amira raised her hand. Just once. No words. The room paused. That was enough. The application was marked. Declined. No one questioned it. No one needed to. After the meeting, someone walked up to her. "Was that the guy from?" Amira nodded. It was. They waited for her to say more. She didn't. She walked out into the New York fall air. Light breeze. Warm coat. Steady steps. She didn't feel satisfied. She didn't feel cruel. She just felt done. Back in California, Jason sat in a quiet office. The email came through. "Thank you for applying. At this time, the group is moving in another direction." He closed his laptop. No press release. No response. Just silence. The ballroom held 800 people. Founders, funders, students, reporters. Every seat was full. The event host stepped onto the stage. "Our closing keynote is someone you've likely heard of. Not for noise, but for impact." A short pause. "Please welcome Amira Blake." Applause. Not wild. Not forced. Just steady, rising, real. Amira walked calmly to the podium. Black suit. Simple heels. No script. She adjusted the mic. "Thank you for the seat," she said. "But I didn't come here just to sit." Soft laughter. She smiled. "I've been in rooms where my voice didn't matter. I've been in meetings where I was the only one taking notes, and the only one who remembered what was said." She looked out at the crowd. "But I've also been in rooms where no one knew my name, and I still had the most power. No slides, no company pitch, just her voice. They say I came out of nowhere, but I was always here. You just didn't see me." Some people in the crowd nodded. A few wiped their eyes. "I'm not here because I was humiliated," she said. I'm here because I survived that moment without letting it define me. Silence. Then stillness. The kind that holds respect. And now I build. I lift. I vote. I decide. But more than anything, I listen. Because that's where real power starts. She ended with just one line. To anyone who was ever fired, talked over, passed by, or told they weren't ready, you are. Standing ovation. Not for a comeback. For a new chapter. Later that night, Amira boarded a red-eye flight home. Seat 2A. No one questioned it. She leaned her head against the window and closed her eyes. No cameras. No noise. Just peace. Have you ever been underestimated, only to rise higher than anyone expected? Drop your story below. You never know who it might inspire. Backhand index pointing down. Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.